Here we go. Crypto listing detection, exchange selection, and trade automation. So, when a cryptocurrency is listed on a leading exchange, such as, I don't even know, Binance and or Coinbase, the price usually surges immediately after the announcement, between 20% and 100%. So they're saying the initial coin offering, usually you have high variance and volatility, as you do with a lot of assets, which have an initial public offering of some sort. So they're saying a perfect recent example is Stargate. I would like to develop a system that can. These are the system requirements. Here we go. Are you ready? Number 1, listing detection. Immediately detect listing announcements from all these different websites and marketplaces. And within milliseconds. So here we have a time requirement, time constraint here, in milliseconds, right? What is that, 1,000th of a second? Testing my SI units here in real time. So within a couple thousandths of a second, less than 500 milliseconds, right? That's his upper bound, 500 milliseconds. It's got to be less than that. He wants to know of a new offering of a coin or of a crypto asset within less than 500 milliseconds. So basically, I would do it by using, you probably just pull from these sources, check for new articles or new listings, and then probably do entity detection to collect when a new coin is offered, new listing is offered, crypto asset, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So you would basically read in any article that was posted from these sites or just news in general, and then you would basically do entity recognition, and then you would see a new IPO or something like that, new offering, and then you would send an alert because his requirement, he wants you to, have that detected less than a half of a second. You send that alert. At least he includes the exchanges that he wants captured. So that's the first requirement. And then also he wants you to scrape Twitter as well and other websites. So you're doing the sentiment analysis, you're doing the entity recognition, you then have a program which is looking through the detected entities to see if there's an initial IPO of the cryptocurrency, or initial coin offering, I don't know what you call it. And then from there, the system needs to be 100% accurate and error-free, okay? 100% accurate and error-free. Let me just tell you this, folks. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news either, but our machine learning algorithms are not 100% accurate or error-free. Even our most mission-critical real-time systems, especially those, are not error-free and accurate, even though we want them to be and we need them to be most of the time. They're not. They're just not. Even our code, things fail. And then here, in particular, performance metrics on machine learning models, on AI models, aren't 100%. They're very, unless the data is so regular and normal, and even then, 100% and error-free it's not going to happen. Even if you have the most trivial domain, you want to predict, I don't know, how many licks to the center of a Tootsie Pop, which is, even that's probably not 100%, right? Maybe a bad example. Nothing is 100% with these models or these predictions. It's just not. So that in itself, be like, okay, you're not going to be able to do this. Tell me an actual threshold which is acceptable. Is it 95% acceptable? Because depending on the data, that's more realistic. Still, even that's a pretty high standard, but it is possible. It would depend on what you're doing. And in this case, 100% listing detection of a new asset, probably not. Because what if you don't scrape a source that talks about this initial offering? You can be collecting all these different data sources, but if it's not announced on a public or main big, newspaper or article or whatever, then your system's going to have no idea that it's being offered. So I can't guarantee 100% accurate unless you're intaking a bunch of data and news sources that you can safely say, yes, if anything happens in the world, we will know about it. There'll be some article somewhere in all the sources that says, yes, there's an initial offering of this crypto asset. which is not realistic and would require huge computational compute and infrastructure to process all of that news. So just on listing number 1, this project is not feasible, just by what they've put so far, which is why I was trying to allude to this posting being absurd. Anyways, maybe absurd is too harsh, but they're offering you to do this for $1,500. I'm on number 1. There's 5 more requirements, and it's already not feasible. It can't be 100% accurate from what they've just described so far. So, anyways, let me continue on, and I'll provide more evidence as to why this likely could not be done. This means that IP rotation may be required to avoid ban when checking websites for updates so frequently. Yeah, because they literally want a half of a second max checking and processing all of the news sites and all of the updates on all these sources, and they don't want to miss a single IPO offering, a single new crypto asset offering. And so it would have to literally, you would have to do whatever the entity analysis. You'd have to aggregate the articles, have it in a pipeline, which you apply the entity analysis. You have all those entities. You figure out there's an initial coin offering, and then you have a program using all of the entities detected to do an analysis to actually find if there's, a news article saying a new crypto asset is out. And then it has to then send that alert. All of those steps need to happen within half of a second. No, it can't be done. I mean, it could be if you throw, the 100% it can't be, but you could maybe you would be able to do half of a second if you threw hundreds of thousands of dollars of compute at it, where you have the most throughput, heavy compute systems on AWS ever. You were just like, I don't care, get it done. You're just like real-time stream processing all the news data, and even then it would be questionable. All right. Anyways, get back to the article. This also means that if there are 2 tokens with the same symbol, it should be able to determine which is the right token being referred to or listed. Yeah, because if the system didn't know which of the tickers, the crypto tickers or whatever identifies this crypto asset, there's 2 names. We don't know which name is the right one that the article is mentioning. And so they're saying the system has to know which one it is actually talking about, because then I bet this algorithm will place a bet based on whatever is this newly listed coin, which it may not be. And so then it's going to invest money into this. And if it invests into the other token ticker and it's not the actual newly listed crypto asset, then you're not in on it, right? You're not seeing that huge swing from 20% increase in value to 100%, right? So they're saying it has to know which one it actually is, which I get, that is a requirement. I don't think that would be difficult. You would have to use the other entities found in the article to distinguish between the 2. This is similar to author disambiguation tasks. So in the research literature, sometimes you have authors with the same name and you have to figure out, is it this professor at University of Wisconsin-Madison or University of Wisconsin-Parkside, right? So 2 different schools, and you're saying, well, there's both of these people are at different institutions, but which one wrote the paper? And so then you have to use context of like their email address and basically contextual features to try to disseminate who actually wrote the article. And this would be a similar application, but just in the stock or crypto asset realm. The system should be back tested for prediction accuracy / confidence level of all previous announcement made using training/test set of real announcement data from each platform. So they're saying back test this algorithm to see if it can accurately predict this. So this would mean that they would have to have these news articles and then applying the entity recognition and everything else I've said and see how well it does on past coin offerings. Misunderstanding any announcement can result in complete loss of all funds/money. So if you make it past part 1 of this, level 1 I'm going to call it, well, let's see what else you have to do. Just so I can highlight how ridiculous this is, if I haven't done so already. So this is the second requirement. Listing report per exchange. For each of the above exchanges, which are these, which they have laid out, for each of those, I would need to see a report of all token listings since January 1st, 2020. So you're going to have to collect this. So it doesn't even have it. And include the following details in the report/spreadsheet. So you're basically collecting all of the events, taking in all the initial data, which you would need to do to create the model anyways. But they're basically saying you will have to find this, and then you will also present it to me. So they want to collect name of the token, listing date, announcement channels, where information came from. So that probably wants to find out what data sources would actually have relevant information. So you'd know what you need to scrape for news articles. Exact time in minutes/seconds. I'm surprised they don't have nanoseconds in here, Oh. For each announcement channel, dude. Previous exchanges, list of the exchanges that were already trading the cryptocurrency before the announcement was made. The objective is to understand the following easily from the report: which channel is usually the first to announce, who's first, who can post an article the soonest. He's saying this one place usually announces first on their website and only after a few minutes announces on Twitter. So they're trying to figure out which news source, which URL or website would report on this first, because you would want to use that as when it came into the system, especially if you're trying to meet that half of a second requirement to alert that there's a new offering, which makes sense because this would be when you would be buying in likely at the lowest, right? It could dump in value way down the line, but if you're buying in right away, you're probably going to be making money for a little bit at least, or, it really depends, but I would imagine that's the time frame when you have the most bang for your buck, the increase in its initial value, even if it ultimately dumps later, but you would be able to sell above what you bought in as. So it makes sense that they would want to capture the first website that actually posts on the crypto asset. The report should summarize as follows. For example, whatever made 200 listing announcements. Yeah, he just provides the template of how he wants to see the information, which is quite thorough. So this is like a research part of it, I guess, where you're collecting the data. So you have to collect the data. It has to be like this. What's third part of this? Post-listing impact report. To better understand the potential impact of a listing on a given exchange, a report needs to study the price behavior of each token based on coin market cap data, etc., of what was the price at the time of the announcement. Is this homework? I wonder if this is like a dissertation or something. Is this like their PhD project? Because it's well laid out, but this sounds a little academic to me. How did the price change after the announcement for the next 24 hours or however many minutes? I love how they like is this a range, or is 1,440 minutes, 24 hours. Like, why did they provide that? Hours to minutes. If this is the same value, it's like, why did you just convert that? Okay, whatever. Data for data for each minute following the announcement needs to be captured and visualized in a chart for each token listing for each exchange. So we have some data visuals here as well. So you're going to also have to make the data visuals in a report. The report should be able to summarize points as per below. And then they have how they want it verbally. Okay, what's the fourth requirement? Exchange selection. Following a given announcement, the system should be able to determine the best exchange to purchase the cryptocurrency from. So basically, this would just be checking the asset price on these different exchanges and then in real time comparing the values from each exchange and then saying, well, this one's the lowest, so place the trade on this one, on this exchange. Right, which makes sense, because why would you pay for the price? Why would you pay higher at a different exchange when you can get the same asset if it's the same amount of units or whatever, right? Why would you pay higher for something that you can get cheaper at a different exchange? So this requirement makes sense. And then they're providing do these exchanges. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you're only going to have to, scrape from 11 different exchanges this new crypto asset, which has just been released. So a lot of compute here. It should consider the funds available in each account for a purchase. So it has to check, do I actually have money in the account, right? Because you'll have to make the account for all of these. Well, no, it wouldn't have. You just need probably a brokerage, so Interactive Brokers, right? You just need an API access to these to read whatever the value is of the crypto asset. So actually, you could do that within one brokerage account, but you would have to work with each of these exchanges APIs to basically ask, okay, how do I request the data, and how are you going to return the data to me? And then you have to basically you have to write the code to be able to do that. So then you'd be asking Coinbase, what's the value for this crypto asset right now? And you would do that same request to all of these exchanges. And then you would collect all of the responses and you would say, at this time, these are the prices for the crypto asset from all the exchanges. You would do like give me the minimum value. You would go to that value. You would see what's the exchange. And then you would say, it's Coinbase. Purchase this crypto asset from Coinbase because it's the cheapest out of all of these exchanges. It's, like I said, it's checking if it has enough money to make the purchase. Yeah, as well as the price on each exchange, like I just said, as well as the volume traded. So how many, this is a different requirement. How much is being traded per exchange? Yeah, so they don't really specify how they think volume is going to influence which is the best exchange to purchase from, right? Like, are you looking for the highest volume or the lowest volume of trades on that crypto asset? What are you looking for here? And then we have, for example, if the price is best on exchange A, however, funds available are 0, then exchange B with 10,000 available would be a better option. Well, it would just be based on your account. But yeah, it's like, I don't know if Interactive Brokers allows you to access all of these different API. Well, no, I don't think so, because don't they only offer whatever? Yeah, actually, these would all be different, I believe. Oh my goodness, this project's so much. There's so much here. Anyways, because I think this would be one account per exchange, or at least you could have a program handling all this, sort of, right? But you would need more architecture to set that up, right? So I'm just saying, like, this is a lot. I'm not doing this justice, and there's a lot of questions I have on architecture and the requirements of this that would be a nightmare to unpack, especially meeting some of these previous requirements of not missing a single initial offering of the crypto asset. Similarly, if the trading volume is too low on an exchange, then it will be impossible to make a large trade very quickly. So that's how they're factoring volume into this decision on which exchange to purchase the crypto asset from, which is a somewhat valid concern. 5, real-time trade strategy development. Using AI and machine learning, the system should be able to determine the best exit strategy for every trade. Not most trades, not some quantifiable number, not like 80% of the trades, every single trade. This AI and machine learning system has to determine the best exit strategy for every trade. Exit strategy could be based on what? How are you measuring that? You want to have the most profit in your portfolio. You basically have to predict how many time steps out would it be best to sell this crypto asset that I'm holding. And you can do that by trying to forecast the asset price, how much is it to trade, to buy or to sell. And you can see, okay, well, I bought it at $25. It is now $26. But in 2 hours, is it going to go down? So that's only $24. Because if that's the case, then probably should sell whenever it's, at its max or it's about to dip, before it dips, basically, so you can have a profit. But if it's like, okay, in 30 days, it'll continue to go up. And so if you sold it too soon, that would not be the best exit strategy, because then you just lost money because it continued to go up, right? So the algorithm should be able to determine the best exit strategy for every trade is so unreasonable that it's kind of absurd. So, this thing has to be the smartest ever and not subject to the constraints of, time and not being able to calculate how many time steps in the future the best exit would be. Anyways, to determine when the price is not expected to go any higher, or when the price has dropped too much that gains need to be captured before it's too late. This is what I basically tried to highlight. Perhaps they did it better than me, but this is so absurd. Using historical data studied from each listing, which we are collecting on, I think, number, 2 or 3? Yeah. So using this historical data and each exchange, the optimal exit strategy should be determined to maximize profits. And that's fine. You can do that when you backtest, because there's an actual correct answer on what's the best optimal exit strategy, because it's back in time, right? We can run the algorithms and then we can fit the weights so that it maximizes profit, and every prediction is right. But you're probably going to overfit so much here that it won't generalize well to other assets that we don't have the data for, that we're trying to predict. So you could get a great, algorithm, but it's probably going to overfit. And I wouldn't think that this would turn out too well. So while protecting gains and avoiding too much greed, etc. Trading automation. After the optimal trade strategy is determined in real time, not even near real time. Real time. Surprised that they didn't quantify that for us. How long does it take for the trade prediction to occur from the moment the IPO was made? The trade needs to be successfully executed on the selected exchange. So basically, the AI machine learning algorithm has to be running in real time and making bids or selling and so on, and making its perfect exit strategy in real time. Not batch processing it later, an hour later, or maybe at night or whatever, in real time. And as a hint, we can do less compute in real time because of the flow of data. So if you look at AWS's services such as like Kinesis or Firehose, or Athena, there's less compute that you can apply, especially if there's high frequency and high volume data, because there's more that's coming in and it requires a bunch of compute to basically do processing or do applications on it. And so there's less analytics that you can apply in real time than you can apply if you did it at a later date with more of the data and it's not changing, and you can actually, dedicate compute to it, and it'll take whatever, maybe an hour, maybe a day, maybe a week, whatever, right? So you're really restricted in what you can do when it's real time, as opposed to you have some compute time that you can do, right? It's not, the answer isn't required now. It's required a day later or a week later, or you're making decisions on a time frame that's months in the future. So you don't have to have the answer now. And if you look at the AWS tools I just mentioned, Athena, Firehose, Kinesis, and so on, you can do less with those tools than you can in a batch processing way, where in the batch processing way, like I said, you have much more time to do the thing, to actually perform the compute. So if you made it to 6, you've spent 2 years of your lives working on this, and somehow you found a way to make this 100% accurate within 500 milliseconds. You're collecting all of this data from all these different exchanges. You've also formatted the data, and now you've performed back testing, and somehow you found the optimal trading scheme which maximizes profit, and you have some agent code to handle when your agent basically buys and purchases it from all those different brokerage, right? It's checking how much funds are available and so on, the volume. If you have all that, and then you've also, you're past the back testing, somehow it got 100%, it was the optimal trading solution, which would be like an optimization problem in itself, especially, I think, computationally uncomputable if you go any number of meaningful time steps out into the future, because the computational space just explodes in your face. But somehow you've avoided that, and you have the best model algorithm trading thing ever, okay? And it's doing the trades, and somehow it's doing this all in real time, trade in real time. And then you have this dashboard. Like this last seven level here is the easiest part. You just got to make a dashboard. All current and historical trades need to be reflected on a web dashboard, and the logic, evidence / data used to make each trade should be shared to prove the system made the right decision overall. That's no problem, right? You can do all this stuff. You can make a website, have a little portal that you can see this through, And then you'll get paid this fixed price. What's an ongoing project? All right, you'll be asked to answer the following questions when submitting a proposal. Please demonstrate your understanding in detail for the below. For all of the steps. Listing detection, listing report per exchange, post-listing impact report, exchange selection, real-time trade strategy development, trading automation, and the trading dashboard. So please provide, maybe I'll send them this video. That would help, right? Maybe. 6 people are being interviewed for this position. So I wonder if those 6 people, they can do all of what I just said and are willing to do that for $1,200. That'd be really amazing. I would double that. I would at least double that. If they can do that, that's worth a lot of money, more than $1,200. I would say this is a job posting where you need the experience to realize what you can and what you can't do. And so, all jokes aside, this is one of those job posts that you don't want to find yourself in, because more likely than not, you'll get a month in and you'll realize how unreasonable this job post is. And then you've worked all that time doing whatever, and then the person's not going to pay you anything, right? Because you didn't do it, because you couldn't do it. And then they'll probably give you a bad review if you've basically started it in this contract and they've actually paid you money. And then the job closes or gets canceled. They're going to be able to provide feedback on what happened. And then they're probably going to say, this person did a terrible job. They said they could do this thing. They couldn't do it. Worst person ever, or whatever, right? I don't know what they're typing. But then that'll sit on your Upwork profile. And you're just sitting there like, dude, what you asked for was impossible. But, it's going to be difficult to even talk to people from that point on, because now you've made however much money, $500, however much they gave you from this $1,200, if they give you anything. And then you have a 1-star saying all of that, worst person ever stuff. Who else is going to take a chance on you? Unless they're really, they're really, really going to take a chance. But there's so many other people bidding on these jobs that it's going to be hard to be more than just that 1-star bad review. So know what you're looking at. Know if these job postings can be done. Know if they're reasonable. And make a decision based on that. But don't find yourself in projects that are unattainable. See what else they have here. So here I like this part that you can see clients' other jobs basically. So they have a simple crypto trading bot, fixed price, $3,200. So here this person spent from December to July. This is what is sad, because this is probably what happened. So here, I'm going to look at this post after, but they probably had a similar project, and this person, they worked on it. We can't really tell how much, but at least they started the contract in December of 2021, and it just ended in July 2020. So 7 months, 6 months they spent on this project, and who knows how much of this money was given to the person while working on it. And then, you have no feedback from either of the people, whether the client or the freelancer. And so I don't think that this project went well. That's my guess. Maybe it was perfect and fantastic or whatever, but I highly doubt it. And so now you have this post, which kind of seems like probably this post is similar to this post. So on to the next person. So I'm guessing that this person actually tried to do this project or a similar project and then realized what I'm saying, that it wasn't possible. It wasn't feasible. That's my speculation. I hope you enjoyed this applying to job feed instances, and maybe you learned something about cryptocurrencies and job posts. If you'd like to discuss any other projects, my name is Michael Fisher Jr. I'm the founder of databindu.com. I'm also on Upwork, and we can set up a consultation to go over any projects you may be wondering about or need an architecture overview or need something written up. I am available.